France, a country located in Western Europe, has experienced many major storms in its history, leaving a deep mark on the damage and impact on the lives of its people. One of the most terrible storms was the Lothar storm in December 1999, when it devastated northern and central France with winds of up to 170 km/h. The storm caused extensive damage, with more than 90 people killed and millions of homes without electricity for several days. Large areas of forest in France were also severely damaged, especially in the Fontainebleau and Versailles regions, where ancient trees covered the stage. In December 1999, France witnessed one of the most devastating natural disasters in its history when Hurricane Lothar made landfall. With winds of up to 170 km/h, the storm swept across northern and central France, leaving a trail of devastation in its wake. In less than 24 hours, Lothar caused untold damage, killing more than 90 people and injuring hundreds more. Lothar's ferocious winds destroyed countless structures and infrastructure. Millions of homes were left without power, and the outage lasted for days, and in some areas, weeks. The disruption of the power grid made it difficult to maintain essential services, such as clean water, heating during the cold winter, and emergency medical services. Thousands of families were left without electricity, water, or basic necessities. The great forests of France, especially those of Fontainebleau and Versailles, were severely damaged. Strong winds toppled thousands of ancient trees, creating unprecedented scenes of devastation. Many of these trees had existed for hundreds of years, and their loss was not only an environmental loss, but also a cultural and historical loss. The lush forests, once a favorite destination for residents and tourists, were turned into desolate areas, littered with fallen trees and debris from the storm. In addition to damage to the power grid and forests, Storm Lothar also destroyed thousands of roofs, shattered windows, and flooded many areas. Many structures, including solid buildings, could not withstand the force of the winds and were severely damaged. Villages, towns, and cities were devastated, and thousands of people had to be evacuated urgently to avoid danger. The storm also caused serious disruptions to transportation. Numerous rail and road links were blocked by fallen trees and landslides. Major airports were forced to close, and many flights were canceled or delayed. This caused major disruption to the movement of people and disrupted the supply chain of essential goods across the country. In addition, the economic damage caused by Storm Lothar was enormous, with estimates running into billions of euros. The French economy was severely affected, especially in industries such as agriculture, forestry, and tourism. The recovery from the storm required a large amount of government resources, including infrastructure reconstruction, financial support for affected populations, and restoration of the natural environment. Just 2 days after Storm Lothar devastated parts of northern and central France, Storm Martin has made landfall in the southwest of the country, bringing with it ferocious winds of up to 180 km/h, adding to the devastation. Areas already devastated by Lothar are now being hit by another devastating storm, leaving millions of people in dire straits. Martin has not only caused loss of life and property, but has also completely disrupted transport and communications in many areas, making relief efforts extremely difficult. Storm Martin swept through towns and villages, tearing roofs off homes, collapsing walls, and leaving many areas underwater. Bridges, roads, and transport infrastructure were severely damaged, with hundreds of ancient trees uprooted and blocking major roads, making travel extremely dangerous. Coastal areas of France, such as Bordeaux and La Rochelle, were particularly hard hit as the storm brought high waves and strong winds, increasing the risk of flooding and damage to coastal structures. In addition to affecting infrastructure, Martin also caused widespread power outages across the affected areas, with more than 3 million households left without electricity and clean water for several days. France's energy supply was severely damaged, forcing the government to mobilize military forces and emergency units from all over the country to restore power and ensure clean water for the people. The consequences of storms Martin and Lothar have left deep scars in the memories of the French people. With a total estimated damage of up to 15 billion euros, this is one of the largest natural disasters that France has faced in the 20th century. The French government had to quickly deploy all possible resources to overcome the consequences of these storms. Emergency relief operations were organized, from providing food and drinking water to isolated areas, to financial support and home repairs for affected families. The Great Storm of 1987 was one of the most devastating natural disasters that northern France has ever faced, not only because of its destructive power, but also because of the surprise it brought. When the storm hit with winds of up to 200 km/h, villages and cities along the French coast were thrown into chaos. Trees were uprooted, roofs were ripped off, and buildings were destroyed in an instant. One of the notable features of this storm was the lack of preparedness of both the authorities and the people. Weather forecasts at the time were unable to accurately predict the severity of the storm, resulting in people not having enough time to prepare or evacuate. As a result, when the storm hit, thousands of people were left in a dangerous situation, not knowing what to do to protect themselves and their families. The storm claimed 15 lives and left thousands homeless. Many people were forced to evacuate their homes in the harsh conditions, as strong winds and heavy rains increased the risk of flooding and landslides. Infrastructure, including roads, bridges, and power lines, was severely damaged, disrupting travel and basic services for days. In addition to the loss of life and property, the Great Storm also had a major impact on the environment. Large areas of forest, especially in Normandy and Brittany, were devastated, with millions of trees falling. This not only ruined the natural beauty of the area, but also affected the ecosystem and economic activities related to forestry and tourism. In the aftermath of the storm, France faced a massive recovery effort. Rescue teams and volunteers from all over were mobilized to help those affected, from providing food and temporary shelter to restoring basic infrastructure. Clearing the rubble, rebuilding homes, and restoring power and transport systems was a long and difficult process. The Great Storm also changed the French government's approach to forecasting and preventing natural disasters. Weather forecasting and early warning systems were significantly improved, with investment in new technology and training of specialist staff. The government also introduced stricter building regulations to ensure that new structures could withstand future strong storms. This event left a profound lesson on the need to always be prepared and vigilant against natural disasters, as well as the importance of taking timely preventive measures and responding to minimize damage to the community. Recent storms, such as Hurricane Cynthia in 2010, which killed 59 people and caused widespread flooding, have made it clearer than ever that it is important to strengthen disaster preparedness measures in France. These events not only highlight the potential dangers of extreme weather events, but also provide valuable lessons about the need for preparedness and timely response to natural challenges. The French government, with support from the international community, has been working to improve early warning systems and strengthen infrastructure to minimize the damage from similar disasters in the future. These measures include investing in more advanced forecasting technology, upgrading drainage systems, and building more resilient structures to withstand the unpredictable force of storms. These efforts are aimed at ensuring the safety of people and minimizing property damage in the increasingly complex context of climate change.